Hello and welcome to another one of my guides. My name's Tweva and today we'll be focusing on Dom Tower. Dom Tower is extremely useful in the sense that it gives you best in slot gloves and also dread nips, and it also unlocks a couple achievements for Comp Cape and Comp Cape Trimmed. Alright, to get to the Dominion Tower, you're going to want to go ahead and type in ::Dom. D-O-M. This will put you right outside the steps of the Dominion Tower, and if you go ahead and head up these, you'll be officially inside the Dominion Tower. Alright, so as we enter the Dominion Tower, there's 4 things to take note of. The face on the wall, there's a bank chest, a rewards chest, and also a flight of stairs. One of the first things I would do whenever you enter the Dominion Tower is I would go ahead and speak to the face on the wall. You can check out the rewards and see what you need to do to unlock the things that you want in Dominion Tower, along with if you speak to the face, he'll give you a Dominion Journal. This is extremely useful and just recently added that it tracks your uniques, which we'll go over later, but it also holds pages that you'll be getting inside of the Dominion Tower, and there's 20 of them, so you don't really want 20 pages taking up 20 spaces in your bank, so go ahead and throw those in your Dominion Journal. Alright, so you might be asking yourself, why am I here? You might have heard from other players about Swift Gloves or maybe getting your Comp Cape, but let's go ahead and go over the 3 main reasons you actually go to Dom Tower. Alright, so the first reason you're here is probably for your Swift Gloves. These are very useful for range. They're your best in slot range gloves, and they're the most common pair of gloves for the 3 combat styles. It allows you to have the ability to shoot 2 arrows or 2 bolts. This isn't a 100% chance, but it effectively doubles your damage every couple of shots. The Goliath gloves and the Spellcaster gloves are also nice, and they are best in slot for what they do, but they're just not quite as impactful as a Swift glove, so most people just save their points and just buy Swift gloves. The second reason you're probably here is for dread nips. Dread nips are like a second familiar. They'll attack whatever you set them to attack. So whatever you're attacking, if you click your dread nips, they'll start attacking that target. They have the ability to do DPS. They can stun a boss if the boss is stunnable, and they can also poison a boss if a boss can be poisoned. Alright, so the last reason you're here is probably because you're trying to get your completionist cape. There are a couple of things you have to do while in Dom Tower to get this. You'll need to complete the special mode, The Fire It Burns, and you need to buy an upgraded banner which you unlock by completing the special mode. You'll also need to kill every boss in the Dominion Tower at least once. You need to collect all 20 Dominion Tower pages for the Dominion Journal, which are passively gained while doing Dominion Tower. You also need to do the special mode No More Nomad, where you kill 2 nomads in one go without being able to bank. You need to use every power-up. This includes the Help Horn, the Diminutive Bomb, the Massive Bomb, and the Colossal Bomb. Whenever you go up to the face in Dominion Tower, there will be the rewards, and everything in rewards you're going to have to complete. And last but not least, you need to suffer every handicap and climber mode. This might seem like a little much right now, but don't worry, if you didn't understand some of the things, hopefully the rest of this guy will clear it up. I am going to go over the types of modes you can do in Dominion Tower and kind of the basics of how it works. Alright, so let's not forget about Comp Cape T. I know it's only one thing, it says collect every unique, but this can be a little annoying because once you get to that last unique, you're going to be looking for a specific boss and you just kind of have a random chance of getting him. And then on top of that, you have a random chance of the actual unique dropping. So it can be annoying, but it's really not all that bad. One thing I get asked often is what should I bring? Like, what should my gear setup look like? You don't have to copy verbatim what I do. You can tweak it, and I'm sure there are some items that you might not have, or there might be items that you have that I don't. I would like to point out, though, that out of everything, I think the most important thing would probably be your chaotic staff. It kind of works in 2 purposes. You do need to mage some things in the Dominion Tower, and on top of that, it also acts as a decent crush weapon, which can help a lot with speeding up certain bosses. Also, don't feel like you need all these top tier items. You don't need hybrid armor. You don't really need anything better than Bandos or Armadillo, but it is nice to have some decent gear for each combat style, and hybrid gear kind of just saves you a little bit more space because it acts as 2 different kinds of gear. So just to put it out there, everything in my inventory is normally in there for a reason, but it doesn't mean that you need all of them. The runes I would definitely say are a must. Having a crush weapon is pretty useful. Having a DFS or a anti-dragon fire shield is almost a must. So I would definitely try and keep as close to what I have because some of these items are going to help you even if you might not understand how yet. But you don't need a ton of food for pretty much every boss in here. Most bosses, you just either pray the combat style they're using or you soul split it. And since at the end of every boss, whenever you kill it, all your stats are restored to full, then you really don't have to use super restores unless you run out of prayer. Or you really don't have to eat unless you know you're going to die or there's a risk of dying. You'd be better off just waiting and killing off the boss and getting all your stats back rather than using your actual resources. Let's go ahead and go over a couple of the modes that you'll be doing. Climber mode is the first one, and it's unique in the sense that you can bank after every boss kill, but you also get a new handicap every boss kill you do. These handicaps don't carry over, so don't worry if you end a run, you can go back in and you'll start off fresh. The way the handicaps work is you have 3 charges that are stacked up every run you do, and you can use these charges to either respin or nudge your handicap. If you nudge, you can just move the handicap 1 down. So the buff that's above you that you can barely see, you'll take that one instead of the one you currently have. The respin just respins it completely. The way I personally went about this achievement is I went ahead and took every buff that wasn't really going to be run ending. So I would do like 10 to 15 bosses at a time or as many as I could until I just couldn't survive any longer. And then once I got towards the end, I kind of knew the buffs that I didn't want to take. These debuffs like no shield or no food or no potions. So it's pretty easy towards the end to be able to be like, oh yeah, that was one of those ones I didn't want to take and I know I didn't take it, so I'm going to take it now just to finish this achievement. If you're wondering why you had a cutscene at the beginning of the fight and at the end of the fight, it's because there's a couple of checkboxes that you can check off to save yourself some time and be more efficient. I'd highly recommend you go into these select taunts like I'm showing you now by clicking on the stairs. You can do this before you actually enter as well. But if you select the taunts and make sure both the boxes are red, then you shouldn't get those anymore. And it's just quicker kills and you can get out quicker instead of watching some dumb cutscene. Alright, so let's say you're done with your run and you just don't want to go any further. You can go ahead and either jump down the hook on the right or you can claim your rewards here and then jump down the hook. Don't worry if you don't claim your rewards in here. There is a rewards chest downstairs, like once you get down to the base floor. So it's not a big deal because it'll force you to claim your rewards before you can start another run. You do have the option whenever you're claiming your loot to convert some of your items into XP. This is alright, and I do it most of the time. And the XP books are actually very beneficial. The amount of XP you get out of them is based on the Dominion factor, which goes up the longer you survive and the more floors you survive during your run. I normally suggest putting it into prayer because it's one of the slower skills out of the skill options you have to put the XP in. Okay, so the other mode we're going to go over is endurance mode. Endurance mode is pretty much the same as climber with the exception that there's no handicaps and there's also no ability to bank. You actually get less Dominion factor per kill early in this mode because there's no handicaps, but over time it does ramp up. Most people use endurance mode whenever they're done with all the handicaps. The climber mode is really just for getting that achievement of all the handicaps, and then after that, most of your grinding in Dominion Tower is going to be done in endurance. So I'm going to go ahead and speak about some other things that are just general knowledge that you should know about Dom Tower and things that are going to help you out in the game. The first thing being, these bosses in Dominion Tower are classified. There's different ranks for each type of boss. And the top tier boss would be an A-rated boss. The thing about an A-rated boss, though, is you can't find an A-rated boss in Dom Tower until you reach at least floor 6. Floor 6 doesn't guarantee that you're going to run into an A-tier boss, but after floor 6, you're going to have the chance at rolling an A-tier boss every time it rolls a new boss. A-tier bosses are normally run-enders, or they're going to eat up the majority of the food that you have brought with you in endurance. Most of these bosses can be done with no food, but they are quite complicated. I'm not going to be going in depth on how to kill each one of these bosses in this guide. I will be making a second guide that will show every boss that has a unique mechanic in it and every A tier boss. That way you guys can see how I do it and maybe do it your own way or follow what I do so you can efficiently take out these bosses and not let them be the damper to your Dominion run. But if I were to go over every single boss mechanic in one video and explain the basics of Dominion Tower, this would end up being an hour-long video, and I'm sure you guys don't want to sit through that. So I went ahead and left a picture of all the A tier bosses up here. You can go ahead and pause and check them out. I left my opinion under each one of them. You might feel differently about them, and that's perfectly fine. But the majority, it's kind of like, not even the majority, it's kind of split in half, whether they're actually difficult or whether they're just pretty simple with a couple mechanics. So the last little tip I want to show you guys is in your house, you can build a bank chest in the costume room at 96 construction. This is very useful for housing the majority of the uniques you're going to be getting from Dom Tower and save yourself a little bit of extra space in your main bank. As you can see here, I actually keep the majority of my own uniques in this chest as well. Alright, so that's the end of this guide. I hope it helped you out at least a little bit. Do be on the lookout for my second guide. I will be making that here soon. It'll be an in-depth boss guide for each boss inside of the Dominion Tower that has some form of mechanic. Once again, thank you for watching and have a good one, guys.